Hey y'all, my name is Kayla and welcome to my cozy, chaotic corner of the internet. In today's video, we are playing a game of bingo to choose my TBR for the month of May. Now, if y'all didn't check out April's TBR bingo game, click the card up above and go watch that video. But first, finish this video and then you can go and watch April's TBR. But the rules of the game are fairly simple for the most part. I built out a bingo card with different reading prompts and I play a game of bingo until I get my bingo. And every single space that gets called that I cross off on my bingo sheet, I have to pick a book for that reading prompt and read that book. Now, there are rules to this. So take April for an example. We pulled 15 different book prompts. So I had 15 books I was supposed to read. In the month of April, I actually ended up starting 8 books. I read 7 of those 8 books and I DNF'd one of them. So these are the books I was supposed to read. And these are the books I ended up reading. The books I ended up reading were The Last Ranger, What Moves the Dead, Number the Stars, Sailor Moon Volume 1 of the Pretty Guardian series, Butcher and Blackbird, Maud Horton's Glorious Revenge, The Tenant, and Ragnarok. And Ragnarok was the only book I DNF'd. Now, let's talk about the rules. If I read all of the book prompts / books that I pull for the month on my bingo card, no penalties, no harm, no foul. However, there are 2 big rules. I have to read my bingo line. No matter what, I have to read my bingo line. If I do not read my bingo line, next month's bingo card, I have to get 4 corners instead of your typical bingo line. And I don't know if you guys play bingo that often, but getting 4 corners, you may as well just play a Blackout. Second rule, I am only allowed 1 DNF. However, with that noted, I can technically not read all the books I pull. I just have to get that bingo line. So one of 2 things. Either I DNF 1 book and I read all the books. No penalty. Or I DNF more than 1 book and or I don't finish all the books. And so the penalty for that is I don't get a free space on the next bingo card. So for this bingo, I do not have a free space. I have an entire bingo sheet full of reading prompts. But I get to pull just a regular line of bingo because I did finish all 5 books that were on my bingo line. And those 5 books were Number the Stars, Sailor Moon, Butcher and Blackbird, Maud Horton's Glorious Revenge, and The Tenant. So because I finished all 5 of those books, I can do just a normal line of bingo. So we are good there. With all of that noted, if you think I should add some additional rules, some additional penalties, please let me know in the comments down below. And before we start pulling balls, if you are not currently subscribed to this channel, you should probably hit that subscribe button. Did you do it? Did you do it? It's okay. I'll give you just like... We're good? Cool. Great. Let's start pulling balls. I-19. A book with the name in the title. For this prompt, I decided to go with Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I was actually gifted this book, and I actually don't know a lot about this book, and the hilarity of that is I've seen so many people review and give praise to this book. And for some reason, I just can't remember what it's really about. I know, it's terrible. But Emily Wilde's, it meets our prompt, so we shall see if Kayla delves into Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I-16, a book that has time travel in it. So for this prompt, I'm going to be reading Recursion, and I'm not gonna lie, I do not remember really what this book is about. That is so bad that I don't recall. I know it has time travel in it, or some form of like time hopping. I'll let you guys know what I think about it in a reading vlog. N43, a locked room mystery. So for this one, I decided to choose The Woman in Cabin 10. This is about a journalist who is invited on this super exclusive, super luxe cruise. And everything starts out fine, having a great time living in the lap of luxury. However, she has this dream that just feels so real of a woman being thrown overboard. However, the next day, everyone's accounted for. Like, every passenger who is on the ship is all there. But it just feels so real, and she keeps trying to convey to everyone else, like, no, someone was thrown overboard. Something is not right. And so we spend the book finding out what is really going on. I picked this one for the locked room situation because you're stuck on a boat. You literally have nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. So let's see what The Woman in Cabin 10 is all about. G50, read a book set in a circus or carnival. So for this one, I chose Johannes Cable, the Necromancer, and apparently this I don't know if it's completely set in a carnival setting, but it has ties to a carnival situation. And it just sounds interesting. Sounds interesting. How many times can Kayla say sounds interesting? It just sounds interesting. B8, a book by a female author. So for this reading prompt, I decided to pull The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. This is a vampire human romance. And that's really all I know about it. I'm just excited. The last time I ever read a vampire-based book was actually the Twilight Saga. And I feel like vampires are making a comeback this year. G53, a book that Jess Mariano from Gilmore Girls read in the series. So for this one, fun fact, you can actually just go on Google and like type in Jess Mariano's reading list, and there are lots of blogs dedicated to like just lists that he has read, that Rory has read. So I just went through this entire list of all the books that apparently Jess was seen reading or mentioned reading in Gilmore Girls. And from that list, I decided to pick a book that I have owned for a very long time, but I have never delved into. And that is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I am so hyped to get into this book. I love Jane Austen. I love her books and stories so much. And this has been one I've been holding on to for such a long time. And I can't wait. I can't wait to hop back into the world of Jane Austen. G51. Read a book that has the color purple in the cover design. For this one, I am choosing Homefront. It's not super prominent. It's not super bold, but there is purple in this cover. And I'm also borrowing this book from a friend, so I figured the sooner I get it done, the sooner I can get it back to her. N39. A book with 5 words in the title. For this prompt, I decided to choose Sisters of the Lost Nation by Nick Medina. This story's main character, her name is Anna Horn. She works at a casino on the reservation, lives on the reservation, and all these girls start disappearing. And so she's trying to figure out where all these girls are going, what's happening to them. And unfortunately, her sister Grace ends up being one of the disappearing girls. During Anna's time trying to figure out what is going on with all these missing women and girls, strange things start happening. Strange spiritual and paranormal things start to occur around the casino and on the reservation. And this just follows the story of trying to figure out what is going on with all these missing girls. G47, a book that prominently features a desert. So for this prompt, I chose Cave of Bones by Anne Hillerman. This is apparently part of like a detective series, but I find that detective series, very rarely do you have to read them in chronological order. I might be completely wrong with that, but I actually found this book in a free little library, and I've owned it for a while now, and I just haven't gotten around to reading it, so... I know this is based in New Mexico, and for anyone who doesn't know, the southwest region of the United States is desert-based, desert-oriented. I'm actually intrigued to start this one. I feel like I've had, like, the last few detective stories I've read have been really enjoyable, so we'll see what Cave of Bones has to offer. B7, a book between 500 and 600 pages. So I decided to pick Hot Berry Punch. It's a book I've had my eyes on for a while, and to be quite frank, we all know it's because of the cover. Look at that. Look at it. Okay? But just look at it. Yeah. Anyways, so Hot Berry Punch is about a woman who, has some relations of the sexual variety, and this is her first time having those sexual relations, and she comes away from it a little different. Things have changed a little bit, and she's become a creature very similar to a vampire. I can't remember the exact name of this creature, but let's just say she's not human anymore, and she has a craving for a red substance that's very similar to, well, it is blood. So again, I'm telling y'all, vampires are making a little comeback this year, at least for me. Maybe not for other people. Maybe other people are like, ugh, so over vampires, but for me, they're making a comeback. O61, read a young adult book. So for this, I chose Snow Globe, which is actually an English translation of a Korean book. And it's a dystopian book where they live on a planet that is just completely consumed with winter. And the only place that is climatized is within this snow globe. So everyone who does not live in the snow globe pretty much is just like they're just trying to survive. Just trying to live life. And the only thing that people have to disassociate from this horrible life they're living is a 24-hour streaming TV show. And the show is about the lives of people within the snow globe. Now, if you live outside the snow globe, you can be like selected to join the community in the snow globe, but you have to agree to being put in situations where you are now the TV show. It's kind of Hunger Games meets The Truman Show. And I don't know, I'm just like so excited to start it. And the cover, y'all, just the cover. I typically don't go for like brightly covered books, but something about this is just speaking to me. I-22, a book with a ring on the cover. So I have actually had this specific book on my list for a while of books I want to pick up, try out, check out. And that is The Royal Art of Poison. And I'm not gonna lie, I have known this to be the cover of this book for forever. But when I choose the hardcover version, the cover doesn't look like this. So I'm getting the paperback version because the paperback version has a ring on the cover. It has a ring, an illustration, the hand that's hovering over the little poison bottle has a ring on it. So that's what we're going with. B5, a book based on a true story. So for this, I picked The Last Call by Alon Green. And this is actually about the victims and survivors of a serial killer that tormented New York City during the 80s and 90s. And yeah, I have owned this book for just over a year now, and I always keep meaning to pick it up, and I just haven't. And so hopefully this TBR forces me to actually read this book. B6, a book that is between 300 and 400 pages. So for this prompt, I actually decided to read None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. And this book is about a podcaster that meets a girl, a woman, another woman, and they hit it off, and then they don't really see each other for a while. But they meet again later down the road and start to become really good friends. Unfortunately, this friend that she made disappears. And all of a sudden, the podcaster is in the middle of their own podcast story. I'm not gonna lie, this was actually on last month's Bingo TBR, and I just decided to bring it back. We're gonna bring it back and see if we can knock it out again. N31, a book with less than 170 pages. For this prompt, I decided to go with A Brief History of Several Boyfriends, and that is quite literally what this book is about. It is about a woman who has had numerous lovers in her lifetime, and it's the stories of those lovers in her life. I-28, an author writing under a pseudonym. So y'all, for this one, I decided to pick T. Kingfisher's book, A House with Good Bones. This book I know very little about. I have seen a few reviews on this book, and from my understanding, this book is about a girl whose mother all of a sudden is acting very strange in the sense of she's acting a lot like her mom. So the main character's mom is starting to act like her grandma. And let's just say that the grandma was very buttoned up, and the mom and our main character are not as rigid, uptight as the grandma. We spend the time trying to figure out what the heck is going on with our dear, dear mother and why she's acting like our uptight grandma who's deceased. Did I forget to tell you that part? Yeah, grandma's deceased. N34, a book set in your home state. For this one, I picked And There He Kept Her by Joshua Moling. So this book starts out with some teenagers who are, on the hunt for prescription drugs that they can sell. So they go into this house, they start to burglarize it, but they get discovered. And the person they get discovered by isn't so nice. Now, the second part of the story includes our detective who is returning to his small town in Minnesota, where he now has to figure out what the heck is going on at this house. So, I'm from Minnesota. This is based in Minnesota, a book based in my own state. Voila. 066. A book that features a sibling rivalry. So for this one, I picked The Hawthorne Legacy. This is book 2 in the Inheritance Game series. I have already read the Inheritance Game and I really enjoyed it. A brief synopsis of the Inheritance Games, just in case you haven't read that. I don't want to give a synopsis for the second one, but there is a girl, her name is Avery. She recently lost her mother. She's being raised by her older sister, and out of the blue, she is told that she is to inherit the entire estate of this super rich, unworldly rich person, but to her knowledge, she has no affiliation with this guy. So she has to move into his estate and live there for a year to fully inherit everything from him. The only situation, though, is that he had children and he had grandchildren, and they got nothing. They got nothing compared to that this random girl gets. And she is spending her time with the 3 grandchildren, well, technically 4 grandchildren, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. But a little love triangle starts to form with 2 of the grandchildren. And that's where I'm pulling the sibling rivalry in, because that came heavily into play in the inheritance games, and I have a feeling it will continue on in the Hawthorne legacy. Bingo! N41, a book with morally gray characters. For this one, I decided to choose Six of Crows. It sounds like the entire cast is full of morally gray characters. Bunch of mobsters. And that's all I really know about it. And that's all I want to know about it. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie. I thought we were gonna get a Blackout. I was like, we're at the point, we're just gonna get a Blackout. We're just gonna get a Blackout. We're just gonna get a Blackout. Close. Very close. In total, I have 20 books that I have to read. But let's just, put that aside, and let's talk about my bingo lines. So the books that I have to read, otherwise I have to play 4 corners next month. I have to read Hot Berry Punch, which is a book between 500 and 600 pages. Have to read The Royal Art of Poison, which features a ring on the cover. I have to read Six of Crows, which features morally gray characters. I have to read Cave of Bones, which predominantly takes place within a desert. And I have to read Snow Globe, which is a young adult book. So those are the 5 books I have to read. Oh, hey, editing Kayla here. It wasn't until after the fact that I was looking at my little bingo sheet and I realized that technically I have 2 bingo lines. I got a little T moment going on here. I do have my horizontal bingo, but I also have a vertical bingo. What I decided to do is I will take those books I just listed off, and those will be my required reads. But I'm gonna make it a little fun, gonna make it a little fresh. If I complete the books that go through the ends, then I will get 2 free spaces on June's bingo card. So the books I would have to read to get the 2 free spaces would include Sisters of the Lost Nation, The Woman in Cabin 10, and There He Kept Her, Six of Crows, A Brief History of Several Boyfriends, Hot Berry Punch, The Royal Art of Poison, Cave of Bones, and Snow Globe. Let's continue on with the rest of this video. The rest I have to read if I want my free space next month. And I think I want my free space next month because I would just say that I wouldn't have 20 books to read this month if I had a free space. Let's try and knock this out of the park. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below. Leave a snowflake for Snow Globe down in the comments down below. I'm not gonna lie, y'all, that's probably like the book I'm looking forward to the most out of this whole list. I think I'm looking forward to Snow Globe the most. I really hope it doesn't let me down. But with all of that noted, thanks again so much for watching this video, and I will catch you next week for another bookish adventure.